Welcome to We Support Caregivers podcast. I am Lashina McBride, the Executive Director of We Support Caregivers Incorporated. Thank you for tuning in to another podcast. We Support Caregivers Incorporated is a 501c3 organization that encourages and empowers individuals who care for their elderly loved ones to cultivate and focus on self-care. To learn more about us or to make a donation, visit WeSupportCaregivers.org. So this podcast is all about learning how to become an intentionally thankful caregiver. Caregiving is loaded with many challenges, but even within those challenges, it is very important to find the things to be thankful about and to have a mindset and an attitude of being intentionally thankful. Joining us this podcast is our Executive Secretary, Celeste Wooten. She's going to share her perspective on how to become an intentionally thankful caregiver. After this break, we're going into the podcast. Stay tuned. You're listening to We Support Caregivers podcast. Hello, Celeste is now joining us. How you doing, Celeste?
I'm doing well, thank you.
So this is Celeste Wooten. She is the Executive Secretary here at We Support Caregivers Incorporated, but there's a whole lot more to her. So I'm going to give her the opportunity to introduce herself.
Thank you. Again, my name is Celeste Wooten. I have been a certified nursing assistant. This is year number 24 for me, but I mainly have been working in hospice all of my career. I am also a certified dementia practitioner, a dementia support group facilitator, and I'm also a medical assistant. I grew up around nursing all my life, thanks to my mom, who was a nurse for many years and eventually became a doctor. So caregiving and giving back to the community was instilled in myself and my brother from a young age. And this is what I like to do. If I can just help other people and, let them know that, hey, we're all in this together, even though on the days we may feel like we're all alone, whatever I can do to help, that's what I'm.
That's great, Celeste. I appreciate you making the time to be with us today for this episode. So the topic for this podcast is becoming an intentional, thankful caregiver. So the first thing I would say is, what does it mean to be intentionally thankful? If I had to, I would say, give a definition, I would say to be intentional is purposely, choosing to be thankful, having the mind that you're going to be thankful no matter what, no matter what your day holds, no matter what you're going through, you're going to wake up intentionally thankful, just being thankful regardless. So what does it mean to you to be intentionally thankful, Celeste?
To me, to be intentionally thankful, it makes me think of when I wake up in the morning, no matter what's going on around me, my situation, I have to get in that mindset. I am thankful. It could be worse, it could be better, but I am thankful that I have been given another day. I am thankful that I have been given another opportunity I love to do. And, no matter what may be going on, with that intention of Thanksgiving in my mind and in my heart, it just helps me. It makes me look at things totally different. When you're thankful, you look at things totally different.
I like that. That's a really good spin on it, a really good definition. But let me say this, let me ask you this, caregivers, you're a caregiver, I'm a caregiver. Some days are better than others. And I think the key point you made is waking up, being thankful for the opportunity. Well, first of all, to be alive. Secondly, to be able to impact the lives of the people that we take care of. What would you say to some caregivers that, like, listen, they're tired, they're burnt out. What can I possibly be thankful for? What would you say to them?
I would first implore to them, and I do this with many caregivers that I talk to, is they have to see themselves as worthy of taking 5 minutes to themselves and to say, you know what, the situation may not be what I want it to be. The day may not go right. I'm tired. I'm worn out. But I'm thankful that I was chosen to be my loved one's caregiver. I'm thankful for the knowledge that I have to take care of my loved one. I'm thankful for the strength to day in and day out care for my loved one. And I'm thankful that my loved one chose me to be their caregiver, because it could have been anybody else, but it was meant for me. So I'm thankful for the little nuggets that I have to be able to do this.
That's
And it don't have to be 10, 20-minute long, thankfulness. It could just be 5 minutes sitting in the bathroom while you're combing your hair, while you're brushing your teeth, and you're telling yourself, you know what? The situation may not be ideal, but I'm thankful.
That's beautiful. And, looking back when I was taking care of my mom, and now knowing that, she's no longer with us, I have no regrets. It was, like you said, it wasn't always ideal. It wasn't perfect. It was different situations I faced, but I'm so thankful it was me. I'm so thankful it was me who had the opportunity to take care of my mom and pour back into her. I'm so glad it was me. So you're really right on a point with that, because it's a matter of perspective. So we always have to have the outlook of being thankful. There is always something that we can be thankful for. So I like what you
Absolutely.
said. So tell me, how can we take the time or make the time to reflect on what being thankful is to us?
I know me personally, I just, can be going throughout my day with my patients and just talking to caregivers. And sometimes you can even be thankful in your conversation.
That's deep.
You can be thankful in, like little things that your loved one does. Like if your loved one normally has a hard time getting up in the morning, just one morning that everything went right. And you could take that moment and say, I'm thankful for this moment.
Mm.
It's not always big things. It's the little bitty moments that may be so minute and someone may not even think about it. But it's in those moments that you can be thankful.
Wow, that's beautiful. I like that. That makes sense. Um, finding a reason to be thankful in that moment. So, I mean, and I like what you said, because I remember the times that I was taking care of my mom. I was just thankful. Oh, she took her medicine. Oh, I'm thankful. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it was a struggle at times. It was such a struggle at times. My mom had vascular dementia, so you already know how that condition is and what it does to her, things of that nature. So she at times she was kind of back and forth, like
Mm-hmm.
I would go in. It was one morning I remember I was going in, I was giving her breakfast. I was like, well, Mom, it's time to take your medication. Oh, I don't want to take it right now. I was like, well, Mom, you're really supposed to take it before you eat. I don't want to take it right now. I was like, okay, well, I'll come back later, and try again. But in the meantime, here's your breakfast, So I redirected. I shifted the conversation. So later
Mm-hmm.
came, she still didn't want to take the medication. I was like, okay, you should, you really need this. This help with X, Y, Z, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to take my medication right now. I was okay, Mom. Okay, I'll try again later. Later came and she finally took it. I was like, oh, I was like, Lord, thank you. I was so
Yes.
thankful because knowing the struggle in that of getting her to take her medication, I was just thankful in that moment. So even the small things that may seem small, but even the small things in that moment, yes, we have to be thankful. Another,
Absolutely.
so I mean, have you seen, situations like that, and you've had to
I
tell
can
caregivers?
I can attest to situations like that. I've had patients who, I've walked in and I'm going, okay, Mr. So and so, we're going to get dressed today. And, you get called everything but, the child of God. And it's like, okay, so we're going to have one of those moments. And as, the visit is going along and I'm slowly able to slip on a shirt and slowly able to slip on some pants, and I look at him and I said, thank you so much. You did a great job today. You look marvelous. But in my head, I'm thinking, thank you that I got through this visit. And I'm just going to be thankful for this small victory because it could have been totally opposite. And, sometimes you got to pick and choose your battles. But again, when you're picking and choosing in battles, those battles may be small, but you can still be thankful in them small battles.
After this break, Celeste and I will continue our conversation on how to become an intentionally thankful caregiver. You're listening to We Support Caregivers podcast. Stay tuned. Welcome back to We Support Caregivers podcast. Finishing our discussion on being an intentionally thankful caregiver. So we're continuing our discussion with Celeste. So I'm going to pick back up where we left off. So another way of becoming an intentionally thankful caregiver is being thankful for the life lessons and having the strength to adapt to the current. So for me, adapting, for many people, it's hard to adapt to change. So when we can adapt to change and make that smooth transition, that's really something that we can be thankful for because many people struggle with change. So Celeste, how is being thankful for the life lessons and then having the strength to adapt changes? Give me some of your feedback or your reflection on that and what can caregivers do in the moment that they're in, because caregiving consists of many situations that you have to adapt to. So tell our caregivers or explain to them how that works or how they can do that.
Conversations that I've had with caregivers, I tell them, every day is going to be different. I mean, that's just whether we're caregiving or not.
Right.
Every day is going to be different. So, you have to sometimes undo the traditional routines. You have to, undo the traditional. We get up at 7 a.m. We eat breakfast at 8. For some people those routines may work. For some people, those routines may necessarily have to be in place. Like for some of our memory impaired or cognitive impaired But for the most part, your day is going to change. So whether you call it change or adapt, you're
Mm-hmm.
doing it, whether you realize it or not.
Mm.
So being able to do that when we're, more than likely, most of us, like you said, we don't like to adapt. We don't like to change. We like familiarity. We like to know what's happening. And so having strength to do that is something that you should be thankful, one, that you can do, but be proud of yourself for being able to do
Mm-hmm.
that. Because every day we say is a gift, but for sometimes caregivers, every day is a mystery.
That's deep right there. I like what you said.
It's a gift, but
Mm.
for caregivers, it's also a mystery because you
Wow.
never know what you're going to get. It's
Yes.
almost like you could kind of rephrase that as every day is a mystery gift. You don't know what's going to happen, and so having the ability to adapt to the prize inside of that mystery gift, that's a strength. That's a quality. Be
Wow.
thankful for that strength. Be thankful for that quality because not everybody can do it.
Right. And to piggyback on what you just said, and not really that I need to, because you pretty much summed it up. But I will say, and being thankful for the life lessons, even as a caregiver, when I was taking care of my mom, I was thankful for the things I was learning in that moment. I learned
Absolutely.
a lot of things in a lot of ways to better take care of her.
Mm-hmm.
I learned a lot of things in a lot of ways to better take care of me. It was
Mm-hmm.
that during taking care of my mom. It was when I learned boundaries and really started implementing and focus on self care as it pertained to myself.
That's
Um,
right.
in that season of caring for her, I had to adapt to change. So it was in that it was in that season that I learned a lot to make it through. However long I had to care for her, I learned a lot of good nuggets in that season. So caregivers, in your moments, in your situations, or during the season of being a caregiver, always be thankful for the life lessons that whatever you're learning. What else would you like to add to that, Celeste?
And I would just say, again, commend yourself to be able to adapt with those life lessons. You don't think about it, when you get to our age of back in, that how they say now, back in the days, when we were taught things, how you now have to adapt some of those things that you were taught
Mm-hmm.
to your current situation. How
Mm-hmm.
you have to adapt to, the situation that is in the present with the mystery gift that you've been given. So you should commend yourself because
Right.
those life lessons carry over and help you get through those days that you just think you can't do anything else. And
Right.
and and those are thankful moments too when you really think about it because you're thankful for what you learned that is going to be able to bridge over to what you're doing now.
Yes. Oh, well said. So, Celeste, what about, and I know you and I, we had this conversation, breaking free from the stereotypical Hallmark movie versions of Thanksgiving and creating untraditional memories. Elaborate on that because our conversation outside of this was good. So,
I'm so guilty of this myself because this is the time of year where Hallmark is on full blast with the holiday movies.
mm-hmm.
And everybody's coming home and everybody's putting trees up. I have seen one where somebody's coming home and they're having to be a caregiver. I did see
Right.
one. There
That's
might be
right.
one and I just missed it. And so I tell people, the caregivers that I run into, Thanksgiving is not only about the food that you stay up all night and all morning preparing.
Right.
You can have a Thanksgiving and have a pepperoni pizza in front of you.
That's right.
Thanksgiving is about being thankful for the people that are around you.
That's right.
Thanksgiving is about being appreciative of the mystery gift that you got to do every day. It is about the $200 that you spend in groceries, spent 14 hours cooking, and a whole hour to eat, and then everybody sleep because you got to go on being a caregiver.
Right.
So whether it's, it's nice to watch those Hallmark movies. They made them very well. But again, they're movies. And so sometimes during this time of year, we look at them and we think, man, I wish I could have that. And it's perfectly natural to sit there and think, man, I wish we could all sit around the table and everything was all right. But it's not. It's not life.
Right.
And as a caregiver, again, sometimes Thanksgiving might be you and your loved one eating chicken nuggets and French fries, or
Right.
whatever you can get them to eat that day. This is our Thanksgiving. This is what we're going to have. And sometimes you just have to make Thanksgiving. Make
Right.
Thanksgiving yours.
Right.
Every year might be different, and it's okay because in those different Thanksgivings, you're making the memories.
Yes, making the memories. That's
Making the
nicely.
memories.
Yes. Good points. And I can definitely agree that, I remember times when I was taking care of my mom, it wasn't the traditional or ideal Thanksgiving. We were thankful for each other, and I was thankful for the time that I spent with her. And it still was Thanksgiving, so
Right.
it's making the best of the situation that presents itself to you. This has been a very rich conversation between Celeste and I. After this break, we're going to conclude our conversation on how to become an intentionally thankful caregiver. You have been listening to We Support Caregivers podcast. Stay tuned. Welcome back to We Support Caregivers podcast. Just to recap the points that we've discussed. Point number 1 is, what does it mean to be intentionally thankful? Point number 2 is taking and making the time to reflect on what it is to be thankful. Point number 3 is being thankful for the life seasons and having the strength to adapt to the current changes. Point number 4 is breaking free from the stereotypical Hallmark movie version of Thanksgiving and creating untraditional memories. We're now on point 5, which is being thankful is a choice. So one thing about this point, it kind of piggybacks off of being thankful. We have to be intentional. But being thankful is a choice because you can easily take your current situation, as caregivers, it's a lot. It's a lot on our plate. But again, choosing to be thankful, meaning that no matter what you go through, no matter what we're facing, no matter what that day entails, no matter whether or not that loved one wants to take their medicine, whether or not that loved one wants to take a bath, we are choosing to be thankful. Yeah. Choosing to be thankful, choosing to be happy, choosing to have our joy. We are choosing to be thankful. There's a boldness you have to have when you're saying, I choose to be thankful. That's even a positive affirmation that I suggest that you say, because some situations, your emotions might not want to have you feel thankful or be thankful. Right. So when you affirm, I choose to be thankful, I will be thankful, I choose to have joy. When you start affirming those things, you're taking your power back over the situation. Help me, Celeste, piggyback on what I'm saying and let the caregivers know how to choose to be thankful.
Absolutely. I mean, like you said, it is an affirmation. You know, the situation could be worse. It could be better.
Mm-hmm.
But I am thankful that I have the strength to get up every day. I am thankful that my loved one depends on me. I am thankful that I can provide what I can to my
Mm-hmm.
loved one. And I am thankful that I have this opportunity to make the memories that I can while my loved one is in my
Yes.
care. And
Yes.
I am thankful that at night I can go to bed knowing that I gave my all to my loved one or whoever I'm taking care of,
That's
and
right.
that I am thankful that in my heart I know that everything is going to be okay. It may not look like it, but I'm thankful to know
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be all right.
That's right. And like I said, situations sometimes, if you don't have that mindset to choose to be thankful, if you're not affirming, I choose to be thankful, something can easily come along that might invoke the emotion of not being thankful, or that
Yes.
might try to trigger your mind to be like, man, I ain't thankful for this or whatever. But
Right.
again, this is what I say, in those moments when your emotions have you to feel that way, or anything that's triggering that ungratefulness or the spirit of ungratefulness, this is what you have to declare, and this is what you have to decree and say, I choose to be thankful. And
Yes.
again, to just reiterate that, when you do that, when you say that, you're taking your authority back over the situation. When
Right.
we don't affirm certain things, we're giving our power away. We're allowing our emotions, or we're allowing ourselves to be led by those emotions. Now, let me clarify a few things. It's healthy to allow ourselves to feel. You know,
Absolutely.
God gave us emotions for a reason, but I do believe there's a time and a place, and I do believe there is emotional intelligence. So allow yourself to feel. Matter of fact, here's an example. My niece, my oldest niece, will always tell me, Sheena, you're always so calm dealing with grandma. You're always so calm taking care of Nana. I was like, I have to be. But what she don't know is I was calm with her. I was calm in front of them. But honey, when I got off to myself, me and Jesus had a conversation. You understand what I'm talking about?
Yes. Yes.
So it's a time and a place, to display certain emotions. And I knew I had to be strong for my mom, because I'm the youngest. I was the youngest child. I am the youngest child. And I know that if I was dealing with something, her still being my mom, she would still feel what a parent would feel towards their daughter. And she didn't need
Mm-hmm.
to be concerned about what I had going on while she was in her current situation, dealing with
Right.
her health issues day by day. So
That's right.
again, it's normal, and we should allow ourselves to feel certain emotions, but we cannot be led by emotions, and we cannot allow our emotions to overtake us. And there's certain situations where we have to keep how we feel in our neck until we get out of that situation or get off to ourselves to release that. But yes, it is important for us, despite whatever it is we're going through, whatever caregiving entails, that we choose to be thankful. So
Absolutely.
Celeste, I think that piggybacks off the last point, which is having a mind of Thanksgiving. Do you care to elaborate on that and let our caregivers know what does that exactly mean?
Having that mind of Thanksgiving, again, this is all just piggybacking on each other. It's just,
Mm-hmm.
again, having that affirmation that despite it all,
Mm-hmm.
through it all, I'm going to be thankful. I'm human. I'm going to have moments,
That's
but
right.
despite it all and through it all, I'm going to be thankful.
This concludes the podcast. We thank you for tuning in and listening to this episode. We hope it was very informational and encouraging to you. Thank you to our Executive Secretary, Celeste Wooten, for all the insight, the information, and sharing her perspective on how to become an intentionally thankful caregiver. Once again, to learn more about our organization or to make a donation, visit WeSupportCaregivers.org. Until next time, make sure you take care of yourself and make sure you are an intentionally thankful caregiver. There's always something to be thankful about. Tune in next time.